want to get started on your journey and why? Because
Yeah.
your kids are grown. Why you started over?
Oh, that's a whole story. It's a whole story, and it's a love story also. So I start. So I have total. I have seven. I have Alim is the baby. He's 18 months old. My oldest is 36. I have a 34. I have a 32. I have a 26, a 24, and a 22, and then I have the baby. So I have six sons and one daughter. So, so that was a kind of shocker. But me and my husband, we were married for 15 years and we divorced. Yeah, I divorced him. He wasn't acting right. So we divorced and we were divorced for 6 years. And so I was with somebody, he was with somebody, and the person I was engaged to be married to, we broke up. And so he came, this was during the pandemic. So he came to Atlanta to visit the kids. And then when he came to the house to see the kids, and then he was like, "Oh, where your mom, little boyfriend at?" He was throwing some shade or whatever. And then the kids were like, "Oh, they broke up months ago." He didn't know because I'm a typical black mama. You don't be around here telling our business. So they never told their dad that that I was single. And so from there, we just kind of like reconnected. We just started talking again and things like that. And then we just got back together. And then we decided, let's have an. I decided to have a baby because he always would say, because we have biologically, we have our son together is 22, and the rest are my other kids from my other marriage. So he will always say, because I would say, let's have another baby, let's have another baby. And he would say, I don't want to be 50 with a child in high school. That's what he will always say. Now we're going to be almost 70 with a child in high school. So, and then he, even now, he laughs about it. And I think they say when you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans or something like that. So he will always say, I don't want to be 50 with a child in high school. We should be out living our life. Now I'm 54, he's 52, and we have an 18-month-old baby. And that's basically how we decided to go back and have another baby. So,
Okay.
you know.
So, tell us a little bit about why you, because you naturally had kids, why you had to now use donor eggs to seek assistance.
So, you know me, I got six kids. So you cannot tell me I cannot get pregnant, okay? So when I went to the doctor, I'm like, hey, I'm still having my menstruation and everything. I want to have this baby. The doctor was like, you may look young on the outside, but you are not young on the inside. You have no follicles. I had no follicles. And I'm the person that I could be walking down the street and it could be a man, he can be walking across the street and he look at me and I look at him and I was pregnant. So to tell me that I cannot get pregnant, that was such a shocker to me because I always was able to conceive extremely. I got six kids. Well, I got seven now. So once they told me that that was the only way, it really was a quick decision for me. I know I read about some women who mourn not being able to have, biological children. That wasn't an issue for me. Um, I don't look at it like he's from a donor egg that's not my child because I really truly forget a lot of times. I go to the doctor, they be asking me about my health history for the baby. I be giving them my whole health history. I truly forget. But once they told me that that was my way, I said, okay. And then when I started researching it and things like that, and I started seeing how the cost was, and that kind of stopped me for a while because just the sheer like my clinic was like, well, it's going to be like $30,000 to $40,000. So that was like how I started my journey. You know, I started reading. I started going into groups, not your group yet, but I would go into groups and I had like a Facebook, I mean not Facebook, like a online groups and just things, and I would get to reading and read, and then I started noticing that for Black women, it's really hard to find donor eggs. I didn't know that was a thing, and that just kind of just took me down a rabbit hole, and then I just went from there. So,
So I know like you went to so Erica, if you just joining us, she's sharing her story. She has six children biologically, and then she had her seventh one via donor egg. And she had him at 52, y'all. So that's always a loaded question. Like people want to know,
mhm.
am I past a certain age to have children? And the answer is this, no, you're not. So as long as the uterus works, you don't have any problems, you can carry. So some clinics will, depending on it, will carry in the states like 52, sometimes 54, depending on your health history. However, Erica went outside the country. She went to Mexico, and tell us like how you did that route and the main reason for going there.
Well, when I first started reading, and they talking about 30, 40,000, and and things like that, I'm like, wow, like that's like that's a lot of money. That's like more than a down payment for a house. That's and things like that. So that's when I started. Like I'm a nurse. I'm a registered nurse. So I just started reading and reading, and then I started finding like online. I can't. I think it was called Inspire. I don't know if anybody's ever been on the Inspire like site, and they have like so many different groups about. If you have asthma, they have like an asthma support group. If you have eczema, they have an eczema support group. If you got a short leg, they got a short leg group. So they have infertility group. And then I started reading about that. Then I started reading about, IVF. Then I started reading about donor eggs. And then I started saying international. So I said, hey, like, let me read it. So I started reading international, but most of that was based for women that are going to, I think it's like Zoom. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. And I started reading about that. Now, everybody looking, y'all can look at me. I don't have blonde hair and blue eyes. So that just was not the place for me to go because that's where most of their donors come from. So I'm reading like South Africa. I'm reading Barbados because I did use Barbados, but that was with my other partner who I was with before I got back with my husband. And Barbados, and at this time I don't think I had saw Mexico at this time. And so I was going back to Barbados, and one lady, her name is Adrian. I could say her name, and I don't know if I met her in your group or another group. And at the time, she was in Cancun, and I was in Barbados, and this was exactly 4 years ago to today, this week, because
Wow.
Facebook told me that I was in Barbados with my unsuccessful transfer. And she was talking to me because this was my second time in Barbados, and she was like, "Well, what's your protocol and what are they doing?" And and like I said, Adrian is very vocal, and I'm telling her, and she's like, "Well, what was the protocol last time, and what did they do different?" She thinks I'm a nurse, but that's not what I do, so I didn't know. So I'm telling her, and she's like, "No, I, I got a doctor in Mexico, and you need to come here and this, that, and another." And just from meeting her, and she started um going through my protocol with me, and what was done the last time it was unsuccessful, and what was being done this time, and it was the second time it was unsuccessful also in Barbados. Hold on. And it was unsuccessful in Barbados. And then she was like, no, like, how could they not have changed the protocol? How could they not have given you different medications? How could they not have given you a mock cycle? And like I said, I just didn't know these things. And so many, even though being a registered nurse, I'm a women's health registered nurse, I'm a postpartum mother baby nurse, I just didn't know. And so that's what made me start looking towards Mexico. and her doctor that she was using. Was successful in Mexico with this one doctor. Her son is older than my son. I think he's about mm, maybe a year and a half older than Eileen. And once, like I said, time passed, COVID started, was going in with COVID. Me and my husband reconnected. And then that's when me and my husband got on a plane in the middle of COVID. And we went to Mexico. We met with the doctor. And when I tell you, this was the best doctor I have ever went to. He went through my medical records. He went through my past records from Barbados. He sat down and talked to me. And I had never felt like a doctor had listened to me the way that this man listened. Even now, I can message him right now, and he will immediately answer me on WhatsApp. He was that great of a doctor, and he looked at everything for me. He looked at my labs, and I mean, he put me on cholesterol medicine. He put me on thyroid medicine. He just looked at all of my different levels that were off. He tried to correct them, and nobody had ever done that for me before. And I was successful the first time with him. Like, I really credit my success with him, and I'm really glad. Like, and me and Adrian, she lives in the Atlanta area, but we still kind of far away because in Atlanta it takes an hour to get from Atlanta to Atlanta, and I live in Paulding County, so she's pretty far out where she lives at. So we do get the boys together every couple months and stuff, and she'll come over here. I wish we lived closer, but I was just grateful that she does live in Atlanta, and I do get to see her. The boys get to see each other, and things like that. But just that trying to find this place and trying to find good information and trying to find, a spot for me, or somewhere that I belong. Because when you're going in, you're looking for these donors. They don't have many black ones. And if they do, they get snatched up fast. Because I see you posting like, hey, you told them put two more people on the website. Go run, go look. So I see those posts that you post sometimes. And I really didn't realize that that was a thing. So I guess until you really start looking, you just don't know. I got 6 kids. Why would I even look into this stuff? So that's how I started looking to other places and just things like that. And people erroneously think because you go somewhere out of the country that is less than the US. That is not the case. The technology that they use oftentimes are better than the US. But we are so brainwashed that we think the US is the best,
Right.
and oftentimes it's not. And I will impair, and any woman or any person that if your funds are if you are paying out of pocket, if you are taking out a home equity loan, 401k, and you got to use cash, you need to be going outside the US. And I'm telling you, it's not going to be what you expect. It's going to surpass your expectations if you pick the right clinic. Just like I said, just do your research and things like that. But I'm telling you, don't be scared to jump on that plane. Okay, it's 2 hours from here to Cancun, and I really felt as though I was heard. I wasn't a number. You know, the medications, the price was right for me. 10K. That include my transfer, my medications, donor medications. Come on now. And I had 12 to make it to the freezer.
Right.
Come on now.
Right.
So anybody, please look into it. It don't have to be where I went, but look into it. So
And Erica's been a big pioneer in our group for, Mexico. People ask and I send it to her. She's very open and transparent about it. She also, even talked to her doctor to like, say, hey, you know, because of the disparity of just finding women of color, she even got us like access to the database so that we could see what was going on and see what kind of donors they had, so that you could at least have an idea of, am I wasting my time or not? Because that's the thing when you're a woman of color. And Neza said it she's Filipino, which makes it even smaller. So we have a ton of women of different color, different shades. And so we all have the same issue, finding someone culturally based that looks like you, resembles you. And so you kind of like don't know what to do. So you end up, what's the name of the clinic?
Well, it was Clinic is Americas, but my doctor has left that clinic. He went to another clinic, so I have to get the name of his new clinic because the clinic that he was at, the parent company is in Ukraine, so they are bound by Ukraine rules, and Ukraine won't allow transfer of embryos. So let's say if I have embryos and I want to donate to someone at that clinic, I couldn't do it. So we had to ship the person. So I did donate to somebody I met in the group. I'm not gonna say her name because that's her story to tell, and
Right.
she is like 20 something weeks pregnant now. So it's a boy. I'm gonna say that it's another boy. So that's why I'm glad I ain't go back a second time because I ain't want no more boys. But um,
It's some
yeah,
girls
no,
in
I
there
was trying to find a new
somewhere.
girl.
Someone in the
I
chat said,
don't know. It ain't coming out of me.
you think someone in the chat said, do you feel
It ain't
like you
coming out of
belonged in
me.
the group, being a part being that once you were fertile and now you're going through secondary infertility, did you feel like you didn't belong with us?
No, I always because I had the two unsuccessful transfers. So, and I guess that was just God because he was saying that just was not your person that you was trying to procreate with. You know what I mean? So I went through all of that, having unsuccessful transfers, having the emotions tied to that, having nope, nothing. That second line ain't not coming up on there. I went through all of that, So before I got Eileen, I went through all of that, and I got to feel. I never felt. My thing was, oh my God, my period. Come on, what I'm gonna do? Like that was my thing because, like I said, you can look at me. I had my oldest when I was 17. I had a kid at 17, 19, 21. You know what I mean? So when I went through the secondary thing, which I never thought would happen to me, I experienced all of that. And just I think being a woman and you not being able to have a child when you want to have a child, that takes a toll on you. No matter I had six other kids, but I wanted to have another one and I couldn't. So I got all of those feelings. So
So let's shift gears and let's talk about because you were going to Mexico and picking your donor and why you chose the donor that you did. Because I remember what you told me.
well, the first donor that we chose, she was because I'm dark skinned. My husband is dark, so I was trying to find a darker donor, and then I'll get into that because I'll talk. Because I asked my doctor, like I said, I would talk to him and say why we can't get black donors because they do have a Haitian African population there, but I'll get into that. Um, so we picked our donor, and she wasn't responding to the medications well. And the reason I love the clinic because they immediately said, "Hey, she's not responding. We gonna switch." And they immediately said, "Hey, she's not responding. She don't have what we need. We got these three who, because I guess they was just because sometimes that's freezing eggs, so they can have lots. And they had three people that they were already stemming. So they showed us the three, and I showed them to my husband. And the donor he picked, he said, because she looked like she liked to eat fried chicken. And that's who we chose. So yeah,
I
and
would
that
never
was just
forget
that.
that.
It was just that easy.
We were all in the group together and we was like, she was like, this is the one we pick and she looked like she eat fried chicken. I was like, okay, I mean
That's what my husband said. She looked like she liked to eat fried chicken, and he said that's who we need to go with. And she responded very well. And
Well,
like I said, because when I was in Barbados, I did two cycles in Barbados. I mean, using donor. And the first one they transferred to, I had nothing left to freeze. I gave these people over $10,000. So it took me like almost 4 years to even go back a second time. The
right.
second time I done paid you over 10,000 again. I came out it with four, and I still got two sitting there.
You
So
can't
what are
give them
y'all
things
doing?
away.
Listen, I'm gonna get somebody gonna get them because I can use them. And so this time when they immediately said that she wasn't, the first one wasn't stemming the way that they want, and they did not let me, because I feel as though, and I'm kind of say I kind of got a grudge against Barbados, because I feel as though that they should have not went, like they knew that my donor wasn't stemming the way she went, and they continued with it, because why would I go and only, I have nothing to freeze, I got no money
Right.
funded to, and that's the hard part, because you put out all this money, you put out all this time, it don't work, and they not giving you no refunds. So
Mm-mm.
you just got 10 plus, because I gave you 10, but then I still got to pay for travel and hotel and food. I got to take off of work. You know, I've done that twice because I didn't know where else to go, because I know that it wasn't a place for black donors really, but there. So that's why I went with them. And I just feel as though that when I had poor outcomes, that it should have been handled better,
Right.
and it wasn't, and it wasn't, and that's a lot of money to be giving somebody. I wasn't using insurance. That was, but this time I came out of it with 12 to freeze. They have very good grades. Mine's worked the first time. My donor, she's pregnant now. I mean, my person I donated to, she's pregnant now. I have six left. I have someone else in mind that may use that some, and then if she doesn't use some, or whenever she's ready, then I'll donate the rest of them, because that's what me and my husband decided in the beginning, that we were going to donate once we were done, because I was only having one. I tried to convince myself I wanted to have another one so Eileen can have someone to play with, but I knew it was going to be another boy, so I'm not even going that route. So, you know.
So when you so you picked your donor, and then if you're just joining us, this is Erica. She has 6 children naturally, and then she decided that she wanted to have another one, so she has her 7th child through egg donation, and she had him at 52. Now, ma'am, because the people want to know
What they want to know.
that, because you went in at 51.
Yeah,
So,
and I delivered at 52.
for women who are that age and think like, oh, it's a wrap for me, Erica is telling you it's not. Um,
Mm.
but what made you decide that at your age? And then, did you have any fears of being older and having a child at 52? Like any problems or complications like that?
No, I mean, I'm fairly healthy. I didn't have high blood pressure. I wound up with high blood pressure at the end of the pregnancy, but I'm fairly healthy. Nothing was wrong with my womb or anything like that. I carried these six. Like my OB, like I had been, when I moved to Atlanta, I said, I'm going to have me a black doctor. That's one of the things I said when I moved to Atlanta from Philadelphia. I'm going to have a black doctor. So my GYN, she had been my doctor for the last 7 years, and she kind of was with me on this journey. And it was ironic, she's on her own journey now, because she has no children, and so it's funny, because it's like when I go in, I'm the doctor and she the patient, and I'm telling her that I'm trying to get her to go see my doctor in Mexico, but she's seeing some highfalutin doctor. I think she's seeing Dr. Jackie or something. Anyway, but I that's another conversation for
Right.
another day. But I'm trying to, so I go and I talk to her. So she had been on this journey with me. And she always say, you give me less problems than my patients have.
So she was just telling me, she said, you give me less problems. I wasn't even home. I was in Texas working. So I used to fly home for my GYN appointments, my OB appointments every few weeks. I would fly home and things like
Right.
that, put my little compression tights on, pop my little aspirin. I was on Lovenox because I did get a blood clot, but that was from the meds, from my progesterone and stuff. So, and I would fly back and forth. When I tell you I worked up until I was like 8 months pregnant. I was in another state. And so when I did come home, I was just getting tired, but I really had no issues. My blood pressure did start getting high the last few weeks, and which means so as soon as I turned 37 weeks, I got induced. But I had a great pregnancy. I had no morning sickness, and I always have morning sickness. I have all day sickness. I had no morning sickness, but I really think because of all the hormones I was on kind of helped that, because I had no morning sickness. And my pictures that you put up, that white shirt, I was 9 months pregnant in that picture. Yes,
Wow.
that was a couple of days before I went in to deliver. So
Wow.
yeah, I wasn't swollen, none of that. I had a great pregnancy. If you're older, if you can carry, I'm telling you, do it. I mean, I had a great pregnancy, you
Now
know.
you were very helpful in the beginning of like, especially like because she was international. You know, it's a lot to go back and forth, and you were really instrumental in like telling people like if you're traveling and you need to go places, you know, talk about how you did your labs and your ultrasounds and you know those kind of things, those tricks that we you know that people use because you can't always fly back and forth. I have a clinic too, even though it's not international. My clinic is not in my state. I don't have the ability all the time to just drop everything I'm doing and go get blood work at my clinic. I got to do somewhere here. So talk about like those things that you did. Cause I know you posted a lot, like go here, go there.
So what I did, so for my labs, I one of the ladies, and my friend Adrian again, she hit me to something called Ulta Labs, ULTA. And Ulta Labs, I just used them the other day because I need to get my titers, my measles, mumps, and rubella titer. I wasn't going to the doctors for that. I went on to Ulta Labs. They have almost any lab that you need. You go in, you pay them. They bring up the lab sheet. They get their nurse practitioner to sign it, and then you go on. I went to LabCorp, or you go to Quest, or you go wherever. And I believe like my when I was getting my betas done, I got, you know me, I just needed to know. I was not waiting until beta until I went to my doctor. I went to Ulta Labs 2 days before I was supposed to went to my doctor. Paid, I think my beta was like $28 or something like that. Paid for my beta and went and got my beta done. Sent it to my doctor in Mexico. My ultrasounds, my OB did those because, like I said, I have a really good relationship with her. She's really good with like ordering my medications and things like that. So the only thing that may be different is that when the doctor writes writes your prescriptions up, it is beneficial for you to have a doctor here who can rewrite the labs for you. But since I was going to Mexico, I'm a travel nurse, so I can take off whenever I want. So this last time, I just pretty much I stayed there for weeks so I can get like started on my birth control, and things like that. He got my prescriptions and stuff. But if not, if you have a GYN here that you work with, it's better to allow them. So it's always great to start that relationship with your regular GYN, not with the fertility clinic, because they're not going to want to monitor you and you talking about you going to Mexico or you going to Barbados or you going to South Africa or where you going. So get that relationship with your GYN so when you need those prescriptions rewritten, they can rewrite them. But the labs, you can also go to like an ultrasound center and just pay out of pocket and get your ultrasound done. I didn't have to do that because, like I said, my doctor was really good with that. But my friend, she got hers done at an ultrasound center. But it's ways and tricks to get around some of these things that we run into, some of these problems.
Yeah, and that's what the group is for, so that you know you can ask those questions about what to do because you know I use Quest as well when I do my labs, and then you know you can always go to for ultrasounds. I usually go typically to the same. So the hospital will do ultrasounds for you. The radiology department will do ultrasounds and go there. And for one, like you know, when I start going back. You know, she's gonna probably like, did you have a baby or not? I'm like, girl, we still trying to have a baby because every single time I go there, she was like, wait, I'm confused because you haven't seen you in a while. Did you have a baby? I'm like, no, we just took a break. So, but she knows everything, girl. She know everything. She be quick to be like, things are changing in here. I'm like, okay, so if you can get like the same place to go to, that always just helps because you know, everybody measures differently. Everybody does things differently. Everybody looks at everything differently. They take photos differently. So at least you know if you're using like the same, you know, clinic or hospital or whatever like that you do. Some clinics do take outside patients. You can call around and do that. It's all up. There's really your due diligence. And if you're coming here every week, you have heard the same pattern. Everybody's advocating for themselves. If nobody's sitting down and waiting for the information, they're reading, they're researching, they're doing all the things to make sure that they get the level of care that they deserve. They're moving clinics. As you heard, she was at Barbados. And, there's some people who have great experiences with Barbados, and there's some people that don't have good experiences with Barbados. So every clinic is not a one size fits all. That's where reviews come in. You ask people who've used them, and so they can have that experience to tell you like why they didn't like them. Because Erika hasn't been there in 5 years. So, even like she's talking about her clinic that she had a good experience, her doctor's not there anymore. So clinics change. They change doctors, they change nurses, they change everything. So just because her experience wasn't bad does not mean it's not good now. And you just need to do your research. So now, and I can't remember when you did your transfer, did you do 2 or you did 1?
I did 2 and 1
And then tell them why you did 2.
I did 2 because, I had the other unsuccessful ones, and I did 2 both those times. But I was like, is something going to stick? And I did 2, 1 stuck. But when I did my first beta, they were really, really, really high. And I was so scared. I was like, oh my God, it's going to be twins. I did not want twins, y'all. I did not want to have twins. And my beta was so high. And my doctor in Mexico, he was like, well, Erika, I think it might be twins because your beta is extremely high. And I was like, please, God, I don't want no twins. I mean, if I would have had them, I'd have had to deal with them. Because the way Eileen be running around this house, it ain't no way in the world it could have been 2. Because so every time I turn my head, he doing something. He climbing on the table, or he climbing on the bookshelf. He doing something. So it's no way in the world I could have had 2. But I transferred 2, and one did stick. So I was very happy about. I wanted the girl, but I got Eileen, and I'm like, I don't know what I would have did if he would have been a girl, but
I know. And then another reason that they did 2, we talked about it before, they were not tested embryos. So they are more comfortable doing more than 1. And they're also more comfortable doing it at the age that she is, because the likelihood of both of them stick is lower. So they're not tested. She is older. They feel safe to do that. So, so if you're not wondering, if you're going to your clinic and you got tested embryos, and, you hearing stories of people doing, you heard Shannon did a gamut, she's doing 4 or 5, ask the questions and tell you why. And a good doctor is going to tell you why that's not going to be safe for you to do more than 1. But if your embryos are tested, you are a healthy age range, you don't have any complications, other than just secondary infertility, most likely they're going to tell you to do 1. And then you just kind of go from there. So don't be trying to do 17 if it's still not a guarantee that you get a baby. So just stick
be
with
octo
the
mom, be having all them kids like octo mom.
Right. So now that he's here and he's cute, y'all, he listen, we don't have to me, I feel like we don't have a lot of boys in the group. I feel like we have a ton of girls. And I was like, he gonna be a little heartbreaker, having 6 children of your own. How do you feel about one that's not biologically related to you?
It don't, because and it's funny that I'm doing this live because most people don't know. You know what I mean? Most people don't know that. So it really don't feel any different because I carried him. You know what I mean? I nursed him. He was inside of me, and I don't feel any different. Now, he don't look like me. He is light-skinned, like I like to say. And, in the beginning, because I know I probably made a couple posts, it really was getting on my nerves. And people kept asking me why my baby was light. So my daughter, she's 24. They don't know either, but I guess we'll tell them one day. But they was having a conversation, her and the kids, my other sons, and they was saying they was talking to each other. My husband overheard them, and they were saying that my husband need to ask me if he really is the father of my kid, because why is this baby so light skinned? And my husband be like, "Well, I know he my baby. Oh, he my baby. Like, I know he mine." Like, you know, and that's just funny because when people see him and they see how light he is, they question if my husband is the father more so than if I'm the mother. You know, but I don't, you know, to the point, my 22-year-old, he was 20 and then going 21 when Eileen was born. So he would have been the baby for 21 years. And he gonna come to me like about a couple of months ago. He gonna say, "Mom, did you used to be putting us on your Facebook page like you be putting Eileen on there all the time?" And I'm like, "Well, they didn't really have Facebook when y'all was babies, you know. Well, you always just put Eileen. You don't put none of us." I'm like, "You never cared about being on my Facebook page." So, and then my daughter be like, "He's the golden baby," you know, because Eileen be traveling. He done been on 15 flights, and I'm not exaggerating.
You know you're not.
No, he got a stamp on his passport because he done went to Bahamas. He done been on a cruise. He done been to Disney World about 3 times. We be out. And that kind of made me not to want to have any more, because I want to give him the best life that I can give him, you know. And that kind of, because I know I can have another baby if I want, physically, but I want to give Eileen the best life that I possibly can give to him. So.
And I'm glad you mentioned, because you know, Erica and I we're Facebook friends, and so I see like all her posts. And when I tell you, people would stand down, and she would put on it. She was like, "I know my baby late, but he mine." Like she would say like things like that. Like, don't ask me, if y'all ask me again why he's so late. I'm
gonna cut y'all out.
Yes. Ask again why he's so late. And, you know, we talk about different things that are like triggers, because, you know, you go through this every day thinking, you know, you're taking care of this child. You know, you gave him birth, you've done all this stuff. And then like, you know, they question it. And, you know, I always have to shift the trajectory to say, they still would do that if it was yours. They still would do that if you knew biologically that this child was yours. I always say, what would you say? That's my baby. Like, you're gonna stand up no matter what if that's your child. So we talk about those things in the group. Like, we get it. They don't look like you, but there's no guarantee that if it were yours, you have biological children. Do they all look like you?
No, they don't.
But if somebody questioned, what you gonna say?
This is what my husband says: Black people come in all shades.
Yes, I love it. Yep, because I remember you posted that. You said that he said that everybody come in different shades and get over it. So, you know, there's no guarantee, and you know, as much as you can to not let those things trigger you, because no matter if they came out of you and they were DNA related to you, there's still no guarantee. Listen, I'm not gonna hold you. I am like one of the lightest people in my family, and people ask me all the time, like, "Where did you come from?" Somewhere down there, deep in the tree. That's where my color came from. I don't know what to tell you, but you can't tell me that I'm not belonging to them. You can't tell me that that's not my family. You can't tell me those things. So, you know, that is just, you know, that's just inevitable. You know. We all know kids, like, how you related to everybody else. I don't know, but I am. I am. So
it's something, like I said, that is a trigger for me. I think I'm better with it now, but in the beginning, because you know, I put up my little Facebook post: "Do not inbox me asking me why my baby is light." Okay. And my daughter,
she missed it.
And I heard my daughter telling somebody, y'all coming to see the baby, before she let her friend, and she was like, "Do not ask my mom why he light." I heard her telling her friends that before they came to the house and seen Eileen, and nobody asked. But I'm better with it. I'm better with it now. So, you know, but because you know what, the only people who comment on his color is Black people. Nobody else on his color. Nope. They just say how cute he is.
And when so yeah, when you we talk about, you know, some people talk about sharing, some people don't. And I know, like you talked before about, he's raised black, he black, because he's not culturally based as you. What are your will you eventually? Because I know you were on the fence, but now doing this, you may, it seems like you may be a little bit open, and then you've donated embryos. What are your thoughts now on like talking to him and like letting him know things?
I know we're gonna have that conversation with him. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be like a big secret or anything like that. Because he's our child. He's here, and stuff like that. And then he's going to have biological siblings who are not his siblings. You know what I mean? And whoever, like the baby that'll be born in January, that's going to be 100% his sibling biologically. And with all the DNA, once they do that DNA 23 or DNA and me, they're going to be able to find each other. Like I was talking to another young lady that's in our group. I met from the group, and we talked about, donating, but she's on her own journey now. And we live 15 minutes from each other. And that kind of, to me, was a little bit too close. You know what I mean? Because we live in the same town pretty much. And we didn't. And like I said, she's on her own journey and things like that. And I hope she gets success, because I think she transferred again last week. But that was just, for me, I was like, maybe that might not, I just a couple times, we need to sit down and talk. But then when me and my husband talked, he was like, because they're going to cross paths in high school and things like that. So that was just a little bit too close for me, for him, for something like that. But I'm just happy he's here. I love him. I can't imagine life without him. I hope that he's pleased that I decided to take these steps to bring him into my life. I would never want him to look at me and say, well, why was I created, or why did you do that? Because I only did it from a place of that I felt as though, I don't have any grandchildren. Yeah, I got 5 sons, but I'm having my first grandchild in January. So Eileen will be turning 2, and then the baby will just be being born. So I just say, y'all didn't want to give me no grandkids. I'm having my own grandkid. But I just hope that he's happy with the way that we raised him and stuff.
Now, you said you had 6 left, and then you donated your embryos, and you currently have some left, and then somebody's pregnant. So what happens sometimes when couples have, embryos left over? I've talked about it before. You have a daycare bill.
Yeah.
You have a daycare bill. So every month or once a year, they charge that card, and they don't warn you. They just say, there's a daycare bill. You got frozen eggs, frozen embryos, and so you get charged.
Yep.
When you were thinking about donating to a family, what was the emotions? Did you feel anything, or were you just like, I'm just, happy to do this? Because I know you waited like a while before you started.
Well, my doctor, he wanted me to wait until after Eileen was born. So he said, I want you to wait because you just never know what might happen and things like that. So I waited. And so when I first started the process, and it was like, okay, we got to sign these paperwork. So where my things are being stored at, it's a couple extra steps that we have to go through in a way. But it's easier because I didn't have to get a lawyer. She didn't have to get a mental whatever. They sent us the papers. We signed them. We faxed them back. She paid for the transfer over to the other clinic, and that was it. But to have someone to be able to have to go out the country, have to go, and I've talked to more people. I've talked to quite a few people, and people want to transfer them. The U.S. is not going to accept them because they're coming from out of the country. So most U.S. clinics will not accept them, because they want to say, well, we don't know how they was frozen, or their standards may not be up to our standards, and just things like that. So I think a lot of people were scared, were afraid, because they had to go these extra steps. And the person that I donated to, she jumped the gun. She was like, she was making them phone calls. She was on it. Okay. other people wanted me to make the phone calls and call this person for them and call this person. And I was like, look, just the gift. I'm giving it to you. I don't want nothing from you, because people are like, well, what do you want? I don't want anything. That's from my heart. You know what I mean? And she did everything that she was supposed to do. And because our clinic, the parent clinic, is from the Ukraine, and they don't believe in the transfer, we couldn't do it from at that clinic. But I wanted her to have my doctor so bad, because I thought my doctor is just the best. But now the clinic that he's going to, I can transfer it to them. But because the clinic is upset, because I am a spokesperson for my doctor.
Right.
The other person, my friend Adrian, is a spokesperson. We sent a lot of people there. The clinic is making it difficult now for us to transfer our embryos out. They're saying that we have to fly into Cancun to sign the papers in person to transfer them now. They don't know me. Because paying $200 don't mean nothing to me. So when the next person is ready to transfer, then we gonna be, because my husband has to fly, because I really can't sign them over. My husband has to sign because they're from his genetics. So I'm not even considered to be the mother of these. My husband has to sign. So now we have to fly in, or he has to fly in to sign the papers to have them moved, because they're upset, because now everybody are transferring the embryos out because the doctor has left. So, you know.
I mean, I ain't gonna hold you. I know my clinic makes pretty good money from me referring to it, because everybody goes there. And I know for a fact that people started going to your clinic because word of mouth is the strongest tool that you can have. And so if you treat us right, we stand up, we be like, go here, go see them. They gonna hook you up.
Yeah,
there's a wait list. There's a wait list for my doctor. Okay, there's a wait list.
So you putting it out there because you're Utah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my doctor, and I'm still, because now he's moved to a new clinic, so I'm still going to have him come in, because he said he would come into your group and he would do a live or anything like that. But I knew he was moving, so once that, I'm going to get him to come. But so I had the conversation with him, and I told him, I said, listen, I will get you more ladies, but you have to have some Black donors here. Right. And basically what the issue is that most of the Black people that they have that are in Cancun, they're either African or Haitian, and most of them there are illegal. So legally they can't donate. Because trust and believe, I was on it. Because I'm like, look, we need some Black folks. Like, you know, we got it. Because everybody not like me and not really going to worry about it. But I told them we need some Black folks. So that's the reason that they don't have any Black donors there, because most of, the people who are in country are illegal and things like that. So
when you guys, so when you're donating in the pregnancy and stuff, I'm assuming they're not close. Are y'all doing like do y'all have an open relationship? Is she gonna send you pictures? Like, what is she gonna do?
We're going to have open. How open, I don't know. Right now, we text or talk every day. Text more because she work, I work, or whatever. And then our other person that I'm looking to donate to, I pulled her until we have a group chat. So we kind of have like a sisterhood with us. I am going to go for her baby shower. I have decided that. And I hope that it stays open for years. I mean, because ain't no more boys coming up in here. So, and stuff. And this whole journey I'm in school to be a midwife now. So I hope that I can be the person that you can say, hey, my friend is going out or wherever and she needs some meds. She needs somebody to write a prescription for some meds. And I can be the provider who does that.
Right.
And because I used to reach out to some of my nurse practitioner friends who do women's health, and I would say, hey, there's a lot of women out there that's going through these things and they need prescriptions, they need to be followed. Can you? And I guess they be like, okay, I'm gonna look into it, but I guess they don't know how big a deal it is. And that's something that I hope that I'll be able to specialize in, that I'll be able to specialize women that's going through the process, who may be going out to countries, who may be going to Utah or CNY, or they can't get their prescriptions. I can be the person who I can do a telehealth with them and write their prescriptions and things like that. So I got 2 more years of school, so y'all gotta wait for me. But that's something that it is inspiring me to make that my practice. And we need more Black, um, birth workers, and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yes,
So
we do.
yeah, so that's
We definitely do need that.
yep.
So we're gonna open up the chat to questions. If you're just joining us, we have Erika, who naturally had 6 children of her own, and then her 7th child, Alim. He is from donor egg. She went to a clinic in Mexico. She traveled, and then if you think that's all just like wow, she had the baby at 52, y'all. So she just don't outstage all of us. So if you are older and you thought like maybe it was too late for you, definitely, I hope this story inspires you to know that, and especially too, if you go to Mexico, a lot of them are willing to do older patients. So that's a lot of older patients too will go to Mexico just because they are a little bit more lenient about having children at an older age. So if there's something you were considering, definitely do your research. And, I always, what my motto is, don't let anything stop you. If the desire is still there to be a mom, no matter the age, go get your baby, no matter what it is, go do it. And I hope like what she said, being the age she is, that's why I was so happy when she shared it, because, she's very proud to say it, and I remember when she had Alim, she was like, not me having a baby at 52, and I remember her saying like she got flooded with so many people asking her, desperate, saying, tell me, what did you do? Like, tell me what, how can I do? Like, I want to have a baby, just from her simple post. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, and I took Aleem. I took him. Took him to get his passport. So I was getting him an emergency passport. So I had to go to El Paso, and I took him that morning. I had his plane tickets, and I had to go back at 4 o'clock to pick his passport up. So this lady comes out, and she has his passport, and she's an older Hispanic lady, and she said, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" This at the passport place, and she's like, "This your baby?" I said, "Yeah." She's like, "I want to have a baby so bad." She said, "I'm 49," and she said, "And when I saw the document, she said, I just wanted to come talk to you." And I stood there and I told her what to do and the steps to take and things like that, and she really came out and pulled me to the side and said, "I need to talk to you." And this was the lady from the passport place in El Paso, Texas. So yes, she was so happy to see me and talk to me, and I wrote everything down for her. I don't know, I never, I couldn't get her number. She was a public servant, but I wrote everything down for her, and told her like, yeah, you can have a baby. She was just blown away. So.
And there's definitely power in sharing your story. I think, the fact that this platform even exists, for me, just asking people, building off of other people and just asking them like what they did, starting this platform. Now we have, so many women who now have children from it because they've learned so many things. I talk about one where I was having my miscarriage, and because I shared my story, she now has her baby. So, you just never know when you are talking about things that, you may change somebody's life because they didn't know it exists. And so when I'm seeing these different stories, and that's why I keep telling you, no story is the same. The destination is the same, but every story is different. And there's something that pulls at your heartstrings to say, okay, well, maybe I can do this. I know someone talked earlier and they said, I got something, I had my doctor's appointment. It wasn't not so good news. And they said, I'm going to need eggs. And I'm like, okay, I need eggs. Erika needed eggs. Like, we all needed eggs. So, that's not the end all be all of your story just because you need eggs. I think that you can say, having your natural children, having Alim, like, you, as your children, your biological children say, they think you love him a little bit better than, like, what's going on with the tea? What is the tea? Like, what makes them so unique? And that's what you have to understand is, I can personally tell you, just being in this space and talking to all these women who have their children, they all say, I was meant to have this child. I was not meant to have this other child that they thought they were supposed to have. This is the child that I was meant to have. They can't see themselves without another Nia. They can't see themselves without another Alen. We can't see each other without, Ella Bella, or, all of these children. They cannot see themselves without, imagine a world without our Grayson and all the stories that we've just even shared so far. And, that is the great thing, is nobody regrets, like, well, maybe, Keisha even said, she's had failed transfers before. You had failed transfers, and those are not your baby. The baby you have is your baby. So, and thank you, BK, for coming. I love to see y'all all coming back just to hear the different stories, just to see which one is unique. If y'all have any questions, maybe about the clinic or anything for Erika, we're open up to it. To questions like that, because we know, and this is the thing, I know Keisha's really good about asking questions, because I know that this space is a quiet space. You don't know, what you should ask. And so a lot of people will ask questions just for the fact that they know that somebody wants to know the answer. They're just too afraid to share it. And so, no question is off limit. No question is, we just ask that you be respectful. When it comes to it, I'm very protective about, women coming on here and sharing their stories. And so, what we're not going to do is tell them that, you're playing, different games like that, because that's who are we to judge how anybody makes their decision about building their family.
Right.
Juanita says, your story inspired me more. I have adult children and I know they're going to feel the same way.
And Juanita, they love this baby. Okay, my daughter, she's 24. She be telling him, "I'm your real mama. That's your play mama. I'm the real," because he loves my daughter and all the boys. Like, he has a relationship with even my oldest son, who was talking crap the most when they found out pregnant. Every morning he at the door, I went and bought Eileen some breakfast. I got his hash brown. They love this baby. So I'm telling you, go for it. Really go for it.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. People don't know, older children, my bonus daughter, she's 14, and I think the same thing, like that she's kind of like iffy, but then, like, I know when the child gets here, she's going to be like, where my baby at? And stuff like that. But like, girl, you didn't want this baby here. So there you go. I was told I need donor eggs from day one, but I wasn't okay when I went through OE IVF, and now I know this is my route. And that's what the thing is, it takes us all different ways to, in time to do it. You just know, like, we're here to support you whenever you're ready to cross over that bridge. And Keisha says, thank you for sharing and being so genuine. We appreciate your transparency. I appreciate you coming. Erika is one of the OGs, as I like to call, of the group. And anytime, I ask, like, hey, she's like, okay, girl, what you need? And I'm so grateful that, I have built something that they trust me to really share it, and it be something that's inspiring and not something that, look down upon, because that's not what the purpose is. I want someone in this chat who maybe not spoke, and now it's like, okay, now maybe I can take the direction and have that.
I found my tribe from your group. Like, I found the people that I talk to every day from your group. The person who sent me to Mexico, I should have called and told her to get on the live, but I found her from this group, and the people that I donated to or want to donate to, I found from this group, and we built our own little community outside the group. And I don't remember who invited me to this group, but they just jumped in my inbox because I was in like another group, and they was like, no, join this group, and I do the same thing to people. I'll just inbox them. I think I've invited quite a few people, and I'll screenshot and be like, hey, join. I'm gonna message you, and then I'll be like, join this group. You want to be your people, and I'll just say it's because we don't have mean girls in here. We don't have snarky replies. We don't have little smart stuff. We don't do that bullying in here. We don't.
No,
it's
we
not
don't.
like that here. And it's like, this is where I found my people at, and like I said, and I feel comfortable with people that I think that when I tried it, when I decided to donate, and I am still deciding to donate, I feel like this is the question I asked myself. Would I let Eileen go over to these people's house? Would I let them babysit my baby?
You know what? I think that probably is the best answer that you can say, because a lot of people, and this is when I tell people all the time, I'm like, you're not ready. When you put like all these parameters on like financing and being married and they got to do this, like you're not ready to donate. Because you could be putting them in a home that's 6 figures and the father's abusive or all that kind of things, like, or they're being neglected, like you don't know. I think that's just a solid. Can I have dinner with these people? Can I leave them here and it be okay? Yeah, I could. That's a simple little thing. That's not anything to really think hard about like you would. Someone asked in the chat, how did you get your husband on board, or did you have to get him on board to donate the embryos?
No, that was like a conversation we always had from the beginning. Like that was something we always had. And I said, look, we only having one. What we gonna do with the rest? I want to donate. He was like, yeah, let's donate them. And the only thing he said, like, don't send my kids to no crazy people. That was it. That was it. And I shared some of the things with him because the person I donated to, she had her gender reveal and she sent me the video. And then she sent me the video when she finally told her mom, because she's a single mom by choice. And she sent me the videos and I shared them with my husband and stuff like that. And that's all he said. Just make sure it ain't no crazy people. He was like, cause we ain't trying, and that was it. My husband is really easygoing. My husband is really happy wife, happy life.
Right.
And he just said, don't send the baby to no crazy people. And I can say, you got to weed out. You really have to see who fits you. Because not to say that other people that I didn't choose was good or bad people. I got cussed out, but that's another story for another day. I got cussed out by a young lady from this group. I'll tell you about that in the inbox. But I had to find somebody that I felt comfortable with, that I feel as though I was making a good choice and I was making a good decision. So I just tell people that, once you get to that point that you may have to donate, just open up your heart, because I'm a nurse. I'm a hustler. That's one thing I'm gonna tell everybody. One thing about me, I am a hustler. I'm gonna get to $1, and everybody don't have that opportunity. COVID was very good for nurses, and COVID was very good for me. And I wanted to take my financial blessing and bless somebody else who may not have that financial opportunity that I had. And that was another thing that was very important to me. So.
Because embryo donation is a lot cheaper for someone who's doing it. Because IVF, especially using donor eggs, can cost you anywhere between $20,000 and up. Mm-hmm. And so some of us who are lucky who have insurance, we don't pay as much, but it's still quite expensive. And so when you're doing donated embryos, it's a lot less. So a lot of times it's less than like 10 grand, because all you're just doing is the embryos are created. You're just paying for your transfer, some meds, which are very low cost, very low maintenance, and then, you're just basically doing the doctor's appointment. So you could probably walk away, depending on the clinic, maybe, $2,000, to transfer. And then, you'll have to get contracts and different things like that. But, realistically, you can get away with, expanding your family with less than 10 grand. So
yeah,
that's always way cheaper. And you may have to get through hoops of like transferring and different things, transferring it from one place to another. But that is, that's probably the biggest probably hurdle is contracts, coming up with things, coming up with what you both like, just coming to that mutual agreement. Sometimes that could be a little bit back and forth, but the process itself is cheaper. I want to donate my leftover embryos because I see the cost is crazy. And that's the same way for me. I have, what do I have? 9 embryos like left. And so actually I have a little bit more, but I'm gonna have to give some disclosures about those. So I got 7 that can't be used. They need to be extra tested. And then I have 9 that are just good to go. But I'm not going to hold you. I will be donating them bad boys. I'm going to do the same thing that Erika's probably going to do. I'm going to wait a year just because infertility and trauma and PTSD is real. I just want to make sure my baby is here, walking, talking, before I let them embryos go.
I was pregnant and I was trying to donate, but my doctor
I
was
know
like,
you was.
no. He said, no, you gotta wait, you gotta wait. But I was
Yeah.
talking to my one person, I was still pregnant with Eileen. So even though she hasn't transferred yet and she had, some other things that's going on, financial obligations, and then she went through me with my whole pregnancy. Like, she was one of the first people that I messaged after Eileen was born. So I just feel as though, like, that bond that if she does go through, and then I do donate some to her, because like I do have 6 left, and if she doesn't need all 6, then I'll donate again. And I feel as though we built that bond because she was there with me all through my pregnancy and things like that. So, and that stuff, that means a lot. And she sent gifts and and things like that. And it's a great feeling. It really is. Like, when Warren Buffett was giving away his billions or whatever, I don't know if I can be giving away all my money. I don't know, but he said it's a great feeling. So for me to be able to do that, it really is. It really is a good feeling. So.
Well, thank you so much. And if you guys don't have any more questions, we're going to thank Erika for her time. I appreciate y'all.